Up to 100 million children cannot go to school, and there are 800 million illiterate people in the world. In May of 2007, a global non-profit and non-governmental organization was established in Korea with a mission to fight hunger and disease through education. This professional organization is Educators Without Borders, and at its core is Professor Kim Ki-seok of the Department of Education at Seoul National University. We hear the story of how this remarkable Korean educator became a global educator on Heart to Heart. Hello and welcome to Heart to Heart. I'm Colleen Park. Our guest today is known as Bill Clinton of Korea, or Core Bill for short, and you'll see why when you meet him. Please welcome our co-CFO of Education Without Borders, Professor Kim Ki-seok of Seoul National University. Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to have you with us. Education Without Borders. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it is independent and professional and global organization. Educators from every world, every country can join this organization. We can think about Médecins Sans Frontières, meaning Doctors Without Borders. You know, everybody knows that, right? Yes. We replaced doctors for educators. But of course, there's some difference. Doctors went to the field after bad thing happened, like earthquake, IT earthquake,
right,
and disease, war. But educators get there, guess when? Before some bad thing happened. That's one difference. The other one is Doctors Without Borders start from the Paris, France, and spread out all over the world. I expect, I trust, we'll work very hard. The EWB start from Seoul, Korea, and going out to the world.
Well, how did it start? I mean, Education Without Borders. How did it even begin?
Yeah, we launched this organization in May 15. May 15 is Teachers' Day in Korea, 2007. Korean education is known the best successful example of education in the whole world. Everybody, especially expert in education, look for Korea, and they demand share our experience and knowledge to them. So why not?
Well, what is so good about the Korean education system? Because domestically, a lot of people have issues with with education system here. Yeah. But why has it suddenly become something to look at from the outside of the world?
Yeah, to tell the truth, for the people, education is source of pain and suffering. But when you go outside the country, meet the people, whether it's a developed country, or developing country, or poor country, for them, education in Korea is so extraordinary successful story. For example, numbers. Now in Korea, can you believe that? Every kid can go to college, whether it's 2 years or 4 years. There's no such a country in the whole world
where a person can't go to college. That is extraordinary.
Yeah, there's another one. There's another number, the test score, index of quality of education. Almost every international comparison of student achievement in math, and literature, and problem solving, and science. Korean kids, they are top of the world. Can you believe that?
Wow. Well, then, Korea has this great, internationally known, great education system. So what does Education Without Borders, how do you do it? Doctors Without Borders, I can get a picture, but so do you set up schools, or where do you go? Where do you work? Where is Education Without Borders? Where are they placed?
Yeah, we are not working for relief program. We are not giving them people food, medicine, clothes, or fish to feed them. We are giving them ability to catch a fish, to earn the money. That is education.
Yes. Yes.
So it's in this sense, it's different from other NGO, internationally linked NGO.
Yes.
We are going out. For example, you want to go to Afghanistan. Just like us, the war totally ruined the whole country.
Yes.
Then building education out of the ashes war is not that easy. That's what we, EWB, supposed to do. So war-torn country and education reconstruction, that is not relief project. It's highly professional. You need highly sophisticated skill. Writing a book and curriculum, training teachers, building schools.
Yes.
It's not relief job.
Right, right.
Korea is a country, make something out of nothing. But there are so many countries out there having nothing.
Nothing.
Without money, how can you teach your children? Use Korean experience. That's what I'm saying. Use our knowledge, experience to develop their own education. It's not giving them a skill or knowledge. Let them build their own system and education. That's what we really want to do.
Yeah. Education Without Borders, for the first time, provides education services in one of Africa's poorest countries.
Yes.
Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso.
Tell
Have
us
you
about
heard of that country?
No, I was reading up on your resume, and I thought, Burkina Faso? I don't even know where it is.
There is no embassy we can have a visa here in Seoul. Can you believe that?
How did you get there?
I have many good African friends. They're all educated experts in this business. And they insist, hey, Kobil, you should come, Africa. That man is African Kobil. His name is really Kobil, B-Y-L-L.
I
right?
see.
He invited me, Ouagadougou, the capital city of Burkina Faso. I said, what? Anyway, I got there. And then I get to know the real reality of African education. It's kind of a turning point to me. You know? For a long, the image of Africa was imposed upon Hollywood movie. Look at the Tarzan, right? Tarzan is crying. Even though the very fine, the movie out of Africa, they focused on white men,
Right.
not the real people.
Right.
But you should go there.
Burkina
I invite you. I
Oh,
cordially
I'd
invite
love
you
to
to
go
go
there.
there. And then it's eye-opening
Experience, I'm
experience
sure.
there. Yeah.
All right. Well, recently a conference was held to discuss the future of Education Without Borders, and the Minister of Education from Burkina Faso was also present. So we have a clip from the conference, so let's take a look. It is early morning, but Professor Kim Ki-seok is already busy preparing for a conference. He reads over the conference agenda with careful attention.
가난으로부터 벗어난 한국의 발전 경험, 또 특히 교육 발전의 경험을 아프리카에 있는 여러 이웃나라 친구들에게 공유하는 그 첫 모임이 되겠습니다.
The two photos that hang behind the professor are those of his sponsored children in Africa. This special bond was made during Professor Kim Ki-seok's first visit to Burkina Faso in 2007.
크리스티안 손녀딸입니다. 학교를 중단하지 않고 끝까지 다니기를 바라는 마음으로 작은 규모나마 장학금을 주고 있는 아이들이기 때문에 제가 매일 아침 얘네들을 보기 위해서 바로 제 연구실에 제일 중요한 위치에다가 이 사진을 걸어놓고 있습니다.
This is Africa's poorest country, Burkina Faso, and these children are the first to receive free education from Educators Without Borders. Last August, Professor Kim Gi-seok and his fellow workers were in Burkina Faso to draw up aid plans for providing education there. The conference finally begins with an opening speech by the co-CEO of Educators Without Borders, Sung Kyung-hee. Officials of the African Development of Education Association, including the Education Minister of Burkina Faso, participated in 5 hours of serious discussions.
Awakening Africa is the key word of this session. We'll keep this thing until almost every one of the African countries become like Korea.
With a closing speech given by Professor Kim Gi-seok, the meeting for the rebuilding of education in Africa came to an end.
What we expect from Education Without Borders is to allow African experts to draw the lesson from the Korean experience so that they could use these lessons also in the development of education strategies in Africa.
이건 시작에 지나지 않고 이 몸을 계속해서 아프리카뿐만 아니라 남미 어느 나라든 가난한 나라가 한국처럼 잘 사는 나라가 되는데 우리가 큰 기여를 할 것입니다.
What other projects do you have in store for Burkina Faso?
Burkina Faso is the poorest country even among sub-Sahara Africa. And then we want to empower peasant women. Most of them illiterate, they cannot read, write. And they are very vulnerable to fatal disease like HIV/AIDS. Many hours work, but the income is so low. And they are victims, double victims. So we empower them, so give them a chance to literate themselves, and then training them, have a basic life skills, and a little bit of a vocational techniques. And then, of course, the most important thing is how can you avoid being affected from HIV/AIDS. And then among the graduates of our program, we select very able women. Then we want to give a chance to them learn their own business, what you call micro loan project. It's less than $100 or $50 per woman. And then they can have market gardening or weaving, they can do anything. While they are working, we'll support their children, giving them a small scholarship, micro scholarship. Then the mothers devote themselves to their own business. So it's income generating. So from the literacy campaign to income generating work, we all combine them, make one systematic integrated educational program. We developed this from my African friend Kobil. It's a Bill Brothers project. And then we bring some money and facility and books and people go there and start work from early on these years.
Wow. Well, it's great because, you know, when we talked earlier about do we just give them the food, do we just give them relief? But no, it's better to give the education. But you're doing the whole package, not just giving them the education and then leaving them, but you've got where it connects to real livelihood, some sort of work,
Yes,
and the whole system.
That's true.
That's great.
That's what they want. When we was there last June to do what we call the feasibility studies. We have a program, integrated one. The point is whether this work can take root there and make some effect. So we go there with the youngsters and with the people and have a talk. So they said it's okay. You can bring this project. So there's no one way support. It must be reciprocal. So work together. So we adjust their own need and their own reality, or we just support their own initiatives. That's the point of collaboration of EWB.
All right. We're joined today by co-CFO of Education Without Borders, Professor Kim Ki-seok of Seoul National University. We'll be right back. Coming up, what changes does Professor Kim Ki-seok believe should be introduced to the Korean education system? We find out next.
The major funding coming from the public, maybe 20% from private sector or parents' pocket. This is my suggestion.
Heart to Heart is joined today by Professor Kim Ki-seok of Seoul National University, the co-CFO of Education Without Borders. When we were talking earlier, we were talking about free education for the poor countries and this wonderful system that you have. Is it really free?
Well, that's the...
Because that would be relief again, right?
That's right. Yeah. It's partially free, meaning in our project, we provide 80% of the fund, and they provide, the local people, local organization, they take care of less to 20%. In terms the ratio of the investment, it is not free, but in spirit, we have no, nothing to, there is nothing to
gain from it.
Yeah, it's a free education for the local people.
But then where does all this, it must take immense amounts of money to set up anything outside, you know, in a completely different country and a very, very poor country. So where does all the sponsorship or the money come from for the Education Without Borders?
We are expecting, the majority of the fund coming from the Korean government, meaning Korean taxpayers' money. However, we are NGO, meaning we have to take something responsible. So we actually have a very special event to collect the money. We have a marathon game. So everybody join or somebody can support my learning. So I actually did a 10K. And many young steps learn 10K. And by doing that, we collect so far $20,000 US. So by doing this voluntary work, fundraising, and then devotion, personal devotion, and then the majority of fund we expect coming from the Korean government. And then I told you before, the 20% of the whole project is self-help by their own peoples.
Well, you were also in Peru recently.
Yes.
Why?
Oh, it's surprising, you know. I never ever expect such an invitation. But they have, for 50 years, all the major industry have an annual assembly once in a year. I was there. I'm the only one outside of Peru. I said, why? Then come and talk about Korean education. So why not? I went there. So I share not just a good part of Korean education. There is always good and bad. Right? So I honestly, as a scholar, share the success and the failure of Korean education because they really want to utilize our experience to build up their own education.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to make it very short, but I think to sum up Korean education, it might be that the results might be very grand and it's internationally now very known, but the process of getting there is very, very difficult for the Korean citizens, as you were saying earlier. So what's your view, your personal view on Korean education system? How do you think it should change, if it should change?
Well, there is the very question I try hard to avoid. To tell the truth, for 40 years, I'm a scholar. I study education. I read many books. But still, I can pinpoint the solution. So it's too complicated mixed. But there is something I can identify we shouldn't follow or shouldn't keep. One is too much over privatization, means less public responsibility from the government. This is not good. We have to get rid of this. We have to, the other way around is good. The major funding coming from the public, maybe 20% from private sector or parents' pocket. This is my suggestion. The second is, I know the family is really matter in education. Everybody loves children. Who can blame them? But children, their own children, not the others' people. That's the problem. So we need some expanded conception of family, not just my family, my son, brother. No, our brother. They're shifting from too much narrow family centrism to the broadened, expanded family tradition and value. We need that. So, for example, if you want to get rid of private education, you have to channel the huge amount of money of the private funding into some public domain, whether it's a tax or it's a subsidiary. There are many ways to getting out of the narrow-minded, family-centric, egoistic attitude, to have the common concerned citizenship. The funding must be channeled from our family to, my family, my children, my son, to ours. Yeah.
All right. Well, as an educator, and you are doing great work all over the world, where's maybe the next place that you'd like to go to educate?
Well, simple. The most disadvantaged, most suffering, most needy place, whether it's Africa, Afghanistan, highland of Peru, it doesn't really matter.
Do you have a place that you have in your mind where you'll go next?
Well, I'm just waiting. If somebody come to us, okay, let's work together, then I will go everybody. My title, CF, F means field.
Field.
I like field. I
not
don't
CEO.
Not CEO. I don't want to work in the table, in the air-conditioned room. I want to go out, 40 degrees high, minus 40 degrees low. I don't care. If there is something we should do, I go out. That's why I have Chief Field Officer of AWB.
Great. Well, thank you for being with us today. It was very insightful to be talking with you.
It's my pleasure.
Education is just so important. I always thought so. So I'm all for education. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Yes, Core Bill of Korea, CFO, the Chief Field Officer of Education Without Borders. You can rewatch his story on our Heart to Heart website. Thank you for being with us, and I'll see you next time.